How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. Now today we are going to take a look at the MP860 from Master, which is their mid-size dual surface RGB mousepad that's currently retailing for around 1,100 Rand on Rebel Tech here in South Africa, or between $45 to $90 in the US depending on where you get it. As for the size of the mousepad, again, it's more of a medium size, measuring in with a length of 360 millimeters, a width of 260 millimeters, and a max thickness of 10 millimeters. The reason it's so thick is because you do have 19 addressable RGB LEDs around the side of the mousepad for some nice RGB lighting. Inside the portal software, you can choose between 6 presets with settings like speed, color, direction, and brightness that you can change. Then of course you do also get a custom setting where you can select the color for each of those 19 addressable LEDs, so you can have a cool little effect there going on as well. The RGB adds some really nice ambient color to your setup, but of course it's not too crazy bright that it'll actually blind you. You will be able to see it in daytime and then also if a light is shining directly on it, but it does look best in a lower lit condition where you do get that nice glowing effect on your desk. Now, as for the dual surface, on the one side you get a soft cloth, and then on the other side you get anodized aluminum. Starting with the cloth side, you get a nice smooth surface. It's not rough like control pads, it's still a smooth surface for speed. In the top right corner, you do get a Cooler Master's logo that is also backlit around the edge. But because it's backlit and it's in the corner, that side is not cloth. Now, it didn't happen to me, but it could happen to you if you do like crazy flick shots or just move your mouse like crazy. You could potentially go over that spot and it might mess up your movement. Now, again, it didn't happen to me, but just something to keep in mind, especially if you do play on a very low DPI. High DPIs should be okay. But other than that, the cloth side performed well, just like you would expect for a nice speed mousepad. Then on the other side, you do get the anodized aluminum side, which you also have a smooth surface that spreads out the entire pad. You do have the Cooler Master logo in the top right corner, but this one does not light up, so it's still the full aluminum side. You don't have a cutoff edge like you do on the cloth side. Now, on Cooler Master's website, they state that the aluminum side gives you higher precision and control. However, I kinda disagree with that. If they mean control, it's not like you would get with cloth surfaces. The aluminum side is a lot faster in my opinion. Even just tapping your mouse slightly, it'll move around a lot easier. So this side is more for speed compared to the cloth side, which they said is kind of for speed. And that's usually the case for hard surface mousepads. The hard surface is faster compared to the cloth, even if you do have a speed cloth, and not comparing it to a rough or control cloth mousepad. But now that doesn't really matter. From my experience, I found that the aluminum side was faster. It delivered a really nice smooth glide, very responsive, but it was kind of a bit too fast for me. Even playing on lower DPI, I'm not used to it being that snappy. So I still preferred the cloth side, but if you want best of both worlds, you can choose. That's always what's awesome. But I still personally prefer just the cloth side. Now, just a mention as well is that if you do use the cloth side at the top, being that the aluminum side is so smooth underneath, it does cause the pad to shift a lot easier, especially if you do have a nice smooth desk, no rough material there. Also, the aluminum side does tend to scratch a lot easier, especially if you do move it again on a surface that's not as smooth. So you either get a smooth surface that moves the pad around, or you get a rough surface that could potentially scratch it. So just be mindful of that. But now my recommendation for those two issues is just to get like a really cheap extended mousepad, place your keyboard and the MP860 on top of that, and then you're going to be fine no matter which side you use. But now also, because the MP860 does have RGB, it needs to be powered, and for that you do have a dedicated power cable. The cable is around 1.2 meters long and is also braided. Now keep in mind you are going to have now a second cable, and your mouse and the Mousepad's cable might get caught and might also impact your performance. Now this one is not as bad as a lot of other ones that I've tasted. Some of them have this weird connections and your cable definitely gets caught on that. This one isn't as bad, but from my use it did sometimes get caught, and just a tiny bit can kind of hinder your movement somewhat. So just be mindful of that. I kind of would recommend something like a mouse bungee just to get rid of that possibility entirely. But again, that's going to be up to you and if it really bothers you. So then that's pretty much it for my review of the MP860 from Cool Monster. Thanks for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. Links are in the description down below, and I will check all of you guys next time. Cheers, guys.